Yeah. That was easily the best finals of the year so far. Today was the culmination of over 2 weeks of competition deciding who would be the final team standing in the middle of the Lanxess Arena. Iem Cologne 2024, the grand finals were finally here. Vitality taking on Na'Vi. Vitality searching for that elusive first trophy in the year. Apex, his storied career twice before, finding himself in the Cologne finals, but failing to add that trophy to the laundry list of awards throughout his esteemed Hall of Fame career. And Na'Vi, a team that came out of nowhere to win CS2's first ever major, but failed to establish themselves afterwards as a legitimate title threat. To now, a team that continues to only improve and get better with time and position itself at the pinnacle of Counter-Strike as the current best team in the world. Leading the helm is the journeyman Alexi B, who despite everything he has accomplished this year with this lineup, has failed in his career to ever win a best of 5 finals. These were easily the best 2 teams in Cologne, and we got to see them run it down in one of the greatest finals in recent Counter-Strike memory. And today, I am faced with the titanic task of condensing all of that action, all of that greatness into one recap for you to enjoy. So if you do enjoy, all I ask is that you take a second and leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm, and while you are down there, consider becoming a channel member. For $5 a month, you can support me directly in what we do here, gain access to regular videos the night before anyone else, as well as a shout out at the end of every video. And lastly, come follow me on Twitch, link in the description down below. I stream Sunday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so come check me out. Let's talk about those finals. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this monstrous recap. Alright, before we start talking about the individual maps, let's take a step back and talk about the stats, because some of the stats coming out this series are truly bonkers. Right away, despite not winning the series in the end, Emma and Bit for Na'Vi were so good throughout this entire series. Emma, if they had won, would have easily been the MVP. Throughout all 4 maps, he ends up with 85 kills, 40 headshots, only a 1.09 rating, but you have to keep in mind, this man was leading the charge on a lot of the T-sides. He was in the thick of it. He wasn't playing back. He wasn't farming trade kills or anything like that. He was off to the point of attack, and he did it so very well. And right behind him, Bit. Bit is a straight up monster. He's like a fully actualized Scream. He is robotic at taking headshots. He had 75 kills over 4 maps. 56 of them were headshots. His headshot rating was almost 75%. For the entire tournament, he nearly had a 70% headshot rating. That's unheard of. Both him and Emma were well within the top 10 players at this tournament in terms of rating, and you could see that impact in the server. They were both electric at very many moments throughout this series. As for Vitality, I mean, the first thing you're going to see when you open HLTV is ZywOo. 100 kills over 4 maps, averaged 25 kills per map for the series, had the most op kills by a country mile compared to Wonderful, and what else do you want me to say, man? When ZywOo is activated, it's clear why he gets put into discussions of a Simple, of a Nico, and why he's considered to be one of the best players that CSGO had ever produced, and why he should be the current best player in CS2. The problem is that throughout this year, he's struggled, he's been inconsistent, and the team success hasn't been there. But this is what Vitality can be when everything works. When ZywOo is unreal. When Flames and Spinks are 2 of the best riflers in the world. Where Mezzy and Apex play great support and anchoring roles and have their individual moments as well. This is when Vitality really should be threatening to be a top team in the world. Top 2, top 3, number 1, whatever you want to put them as. Alright, with all the numbers and all that nerd shit out of the way, let's start talking about the games. We open up on map 1, Nuke, and right away, Nuke is an overtime thriller, and I feel like it's going to get kind of lost in the context of what's going to happen later on in this series, but the first Nuke game was a banger. Vitality take it in the end 16-14, and the tale of this game is how dominant the CT sides were. Neither team allowed themselves to gain much control on their T side executes. really good map control, preventing the outside from working, not allowing the upper hits to have much validity at all. I mean, just the raw production from each team is very clearly delineated. Neither team was really popping off on their T sides. They did all of their stat farming on the CT sides, and that definitely makes for an interesting game because Vitality start off on the CT side first, so they run up an early 8-4 half lead, putting Na'Vi in the position of having to play comebacker on the second half. But Nuke is traditionally a map that, unless the T side really can do some excellent things, is a CT sided map. So this is definitely a realistic comeback for Na'Vi to make happen, and that's what they get to work doing. They lose the pistol round and give up the save round right after, but Na'Vi were very dominant on their full buys in this second half. They won 7 of the next 8 rounds, which brought us all the way back to an 11-11 scoreline. And here, both teams are trying to get to match point first because it's such a big advantage, and on this round, Vitality are finally going to get a strike back against Na'Vi. And honestly, it's going to be a very simple play. They're going to work their outside smokes, slowly begin to creep towards red box. The problem here is, I think for Na'Vi, that Wonderful is probably too quick to rotate to support the inner bomb site. His op could have been very beneficial to help support Alexi B. Instead, he's going to find himself on an island outside, and Apex is going to go to work and manufacture the opening that his team needs. He's going to get the first pick on Alexi B, he's going to creep into Big Garage and find a great spray through the vents towards Squeaky for his second kill. And with that outside control, Spinks can pinch in from the ramp. He's going to find Bit totally unaware, his easiest kill of his life. At that point, it's just wraps for the round, and match point for Vitality. And on that very next round, Vitality were in an excellent position to win this map outright right away. Apex is going to find a killer gap outside where he's going to slip into Mini as they begin the upper take. He's going to find a pick before Emma sends him to the Shadow Realm. Meanwhile, JL with the MP9 is going to get a double of his own by Hut. Emma's going to take a second, pick up the AK, and find the third to clinch it and push it to overtime. An incredible upper hold by Emma and JL. And for the sake of brevity, we're just going to focus on one round in the overtime. In the first half, Vitality would take one T round and then concede 2 CT rounds to Na'Vi, and when the half switched, Vitality locked it the fuck in to win 3 straight rounds and close out the map 16-14 as we already alluded to. And the big thing I want to focus on, that's a narrative that we will be developing over the next couple maps, is that tactically I really think Na'Vi played a better game than Vitality throughout this series, but Vitality had some absolutely insane heroics. Throughout this round, Na'Vi are going to work their map control very slowly, very deliberately. JL is going to find an early pick from inside the lobby, and now Vitality are on the back foot. Things are going to slow down. Apex is going to get a get me back kill on Emma on the outside, and then begin flanking outside so he can pinch into lobby later on. JL is left lurking around the margins in Hut as the remaining Na'Vi players execute a fake into ramp trying to take space over there and draw the rotate out from Vitality. This ends up netting JL another kill on Mezzy towards the front of Silo, and now Na'Vi are coming back and they're going to start working into the late A pinch. And as JL creeps up towards the squeaky door, he's going to find yet another pig on top of the Hut, and then Apex is going to complete the pincer flank, taking 2 back right away before Wonderful gets him off the board, leaving Zaiwu all alone on the A site in a 2v1. He's going to find the first op shot onto Wonderful. Excellent stuff. He's going to dive towards Squeaky, pick up the AK, has no idea that Bit might be behind him, but he's going to start creeping back towards the A site, and Zaiwu finds the emphatic AK headshot to finish the deal. They win 2 more rounds after that, and close out this first map, taking a 1-0 series lead, and we're heading to Dust 2. And honestly, in the context of the rest of the series, I feel like this is probably the most normal map that was played. By the time everything was said and done and the series was wrapped up and I was getting ready to sit down and get all the footage for this video, Dust 2 was the map that I remembered the least from. It felt like the least impactful in terms of the broader context of the series. It definitely had the least exciting or memorable moments outside of that incredible triple kill that Bit had on the B site towards the end of the game. Na'Vi equalized the series 13-10. Zaiwu once again totally just dominant with the op in his hands. But honestly, this feels like a pretty good example of what I mean when I say that I think Na'Vi were a better tactical team than Vitality throughout this series, because here, Na'Vi did better on their T half of working map control and taking bomb sites, and on their CT half, they were better at rotating and responding to what Vitality were doing. I think the difference here is that Vitality didn't have any of those big hero moments that would happen throughout the rest of the series to kind of tip the scales in their favor. Like, these teams aren't so dramatically different in firepower that I would expect Vitality to be able to win off of just like sheer force, like G2 style. I think they do need those heroic moments, and they need to have very sharp calling from Apex to be competitive with this Na'Vi team, which is something that they obviously did a lot better, like I've already said, in the other maps. But fair play to Na'Vi, they equalized the series 1-1, and we are heading next to Mirage. And, oh my god. This might go down as one of the best Mirage games ever in Counter-Strike. This game is that good. I cannot do this game enough justice. I don't think I could do this game enough justice if I had a whole hour just to yap about this one map. There were so many moments, so many insane plays. I was watching this with my brother live, and we were both losing our minds. Like, there was so much stuff going on down the stretch of this game. I mean, dude, this is 3 overtimes. We played every single round of every single overtime. And to give you some context, this game wasn't just long in the context of MR12. This was literally the equivalent of an MR16 plus 2 overtimes. This was an incredibly long single map of Counter-Strike over like an hour and a half in game, and I think close to 2 hours in real time with all the timeouts and the pauses. So all that is to say is that you guys need to go watch this game. Go watch this series. Just enjoy it, watch it, love it, and then, you know, have that context when you're ready to come back to this video. So keep in mind that it didn't necessarily start out as thrilling as you would expect, because Vitality jumped out to an early 5-1 lead. They dominated the first part of this game, because keep in mind, while Navi's Mirage has been the story of their current run of form, Vitality were also undefeated on Mirage going into this series, so both of these teams are titans of this map. But Navi, remember who they are. They win the rest of the half 6 straight rounds and win the half 7-5 to keep that momentum as they swap sides to the CT side. And both of these teams were throwing haymakers at each other down the stretch of this second half. But in the end, Navi found themselves on a 3-round win streak with match point in hand 12-10. And what would quickly become the narrative of this map started to unfold, because Vitality would end with 2 incredibly important clutch wins to force overtime. And in that first overtime, Vitality would continue to steal momentum. Navi would win the first round on their CT side before Vitality took the other 2 of that first half and completed their comeback up to this point by capturing match point for the first time on their first CT round of the second half. And now Navi had to be perfect to force a second overtime, win these 2 rounds, and the game can continue. So some important context. In the round previous, Emma had tried to be boosted into window quietly through the window smoke, but he failed the jump. And it led to Navi trying to bend into a split A take that they didn't seem very confident about. It was clear they had a set strategy around finding Emma this space into window, because in this round, they're going to do the same thing. And Emma's going to find a very interesting gap here. Apex has moved over to help boost over this connector smoke and see what's going on in mid. Emma has this golden window where there is now a gap for him to sneak behind into CT and work his way into market. And from this position, this incredibly strong position, Navi can begin the B split. However, Navi are moving a little bit too fast. They think that the B site is a golden ticket. They're not expecting Vitality to be pushed up into apartments, and they're gonna get punished for it. The bomb goes down. And Mezzi may have control of the bomb, but Emma's quickly moving up on him, and there's no other Vitality players in sight. If Mezzi could find one more pick onto Emma, this round could be dramatically different. However, he's not able to hit the spray. Emma takes the pick. He has flames coming up from underpass, but Bits right there takes him off the board immediately. They get the bomb back. It's a 3v1, and Zaiwu isn't even looking at this take. He has to hold on to the op. A crucial round gained back for Navi, but you need one more to see a second overtime. Now, both of these teams have been playing very slow, methodical rounds throughout this game, and Vitality call a timeout to center themselves and figure out what they're going to do here to try and get this last round and avoid that second overtime. And Blade, the master tactician, the best coach of the game right now, sits his boys down and he says, listen, we've been playing slow. Maybe it's time to unleash the beast and go out fast. And that's what they do. They go for the pacey switch. They're going straight into the A site, and they're funneling in. They're finding the picks. Emma is straight out to sandwich, heading towards jungle. They have the map control. They get the trades. The bomb goes down, leaving Apex and Mezzi in a terrible spot. The 2v4 retake from hell, a nightmare scenario. They're not able to pull it off, and that's overtime 2 secured. And throughout the next 2 overtimes, both teams would play incredible Counter-Strike, back and forth. There were incredible clutches by Bit, including an amazing last-second defuse in the third overtime. ZywOo had incredible impact late in the game. Wonderful resurrected his form from being the bottom frag in regulation to being one of the key pieces for Na'Vi throughout all of overtime. It's hard to say what made the difference for Vitality down the stretch, whether they had just a little more gas in the tank, or they just had a better idea of how to stop Na'Vi's attack, but Na'Vi simply began to fade down the stretch. The firepower continued to be overwhelming from Vitality, and their CT sides were just dominant, including once again another 3 straight rounds in triple overtime to seal off a spectacular comeback and take the lead 2-1 in the series. If I haven't been clear enough, please go watch this game. Like, oh my god, this Mirage game was incredible. And with that, we are moving to Inferno, which will be our final destination in Iem Cologne. And I'm going to be very frank with you guys. I thought that Vitality were going to blow Na'Vi out of the water, because starting 10-2 on Inferno T side is an insane advantage. When you consider the overtime on Nuke, the triple overtime on Mirage, surely Na'Vi had nothing left to try and mount a comeback on the T side of Inferno, but no, because this series is just that crazy. We swap sides, and Na'Vi are like, fuck it, what's one more overtime? Let's go. The only problem for Na'Vi in this game was that they did not win pistol round. By losing the pistol round, they only had 2 mistakes they could give Vitality at all through the half. And that is an incredibly thin margin of error against an incredible team. It's just not a situation you want to be in. Na'Vi had to play perfect, and for the first 6 rounds, they did. Amazing map control, great executes. They 100% limited Vitality's ability to have a factor in these rounds. There is maybe like one criticism I could make of Na'Vi throughout this stretch. They allowed Vitality to save too much. They got away with saving too often in positions where Na'Vi had such an economic advantage that it was not worth it to not go for the hunting to try and take those guns off the board. Because some of these Vitality buys down the stretch would have been way weaker if that was the case. You could have heavily limited ZywOo's access to the op, which would have made a difference in this series, and most of all, it would have been fewer rifles and just fewer chances for Vitality to be able to make a miracle happen. Despite all that, we bring it back to an 11-8 scoreline from 10-2. Na'Vi are looking to round that corner, make a run at overtime, and Vitality are absolutely broke outside of the op and the M4 that they saved from the previous round. And like I've said throughout this video, Na'Vi, tactically better. However, the hero moments firmly went the way of Vitality, and this round is an emphatic statement of that. We're going to start off, we're going to work some early banana control from Na'Vi's end, the classic trait of utility. The problem is Vitality don't have nearly enough utility to contest this banana control. They have to concede it. I mean, you're playing around a CZ, a MP9, and a 5.7. You have that rifle on A to anchor, and you have ZywOo playing rotate with the op. It's just not a lot to work with. That is, unless you position it correctly. And ZywOo is going to do just that. After picking around mid, seeing what's going on, he's going to rotate over to bolster up the B defense, knowing that they've seen a lot of counter utility come up that way from Na'Vi. JL is going to get cheeky, work some map control while his team begins to rotate and start working towards a late A hit. The problem is, he's playing for a flash into a peak, but ZywOo is in an amazing off angle ahead of the flash. He's got a 5.7 backing him up if something goes wrong. JL takes the swing, and ZywOo punishes him for it. But with the intel that he's towards B, it now opens up A site for the attack. Na'Vi are desperate to get ahead of the rotators. They smoke library, they smoke archers, they start the A pinch. Mezzi and Spinks all alone on the A site, just trapped, trying to hold it down. And sometimes you need just that little boost to get you that vital championship point. Mezzi on the A site by himself finds 3 incredible kills, 2 with the M4, and gets the finish with the P2K from full health. Nobody can stop him. With 8 HP, Mezzi has handed Vitality match point, series point. Na'Vi gamely fight back on the next round to take one more round, but on the round after, ZywOo puts the nail in the coffin, cutting the A attack at its heels, forcing Na'Vi into a desperate late B hit that they're not able to convert. Alexi B alone in the 1v3 clutch to keep his team alive. It's just too tall of a task, and Vitality have done it. They beat Na'Vi. Cologne is theirs, and Apex finally gets to add that trophy to his collection. Nothing else to say, man. An incredible series, best of the year so far. Zywoo is the MVP. Just so much fun. I have nothing else to say, man. Go watch this series if you haven't. It was that good. I'm gonna keep things brief on the outro because at this point, after 2 weeks of constant coverage, I am very worn out. Thank you guys for joining me on this journey through Cologne. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to my channel members, Justin, Jesse, Furley, Bubblesj, and Dr. Cocktor. Thank you to AdvancedGG for powering these videos. Check the link in the description. If you make a purchase, use my code LIONS10 at checkout for 10% off. Thank you to Advanced.gg. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon with some more videos after I sleep for 3 days.